Hell, if I turn mine on. And a good morning to you. I got to get my microphone on. Turned everybody else's on but mine, which is not good. Glad to have you along. Full house today. Ford Rembert is in the house after an extended winter hibernation.
Long winters unnap.
You know, Addison went with Cabbage's family up to they rented a house through I think it was through Airbnb, and it was on above, is it Sugar Grove?
Yes, up in Watauga.
Yeah. Where 421, 321 split like on over to Mountain City is up there, kind of off to the right. No water. Water was froze up.
Well, froze up.
And they stayed for 2 days.
Yeah.
She stayed for 2 days, and then she came on back. They stayed the rest of the time.
Right.
Toilet flushing was with gallons of water poured in the tank to fill it back up.
Oh, wow.
That's not happening.
So I went up yesterday to check on the house. Me and Garrett did, okay, because it was minus 15.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the well pumps that are outside in most houses, communities up there, are very, kind of like up north,
they're
very well insulated.
Yeah.
But when it gets, down into the single and negative numbers, you got to be careful. Now, the water's cut off at the house, no problem. Drained all the lines before we left last week, just prepping or whatever. We got some friends going up tonight, for New Year's. So I want to make sure everything was good. So I get up there, and normally the Lord doesn't care about my water. He really does. He's got bigger problems in the world. But I said, Lord, listen, I know you got a lot going on. See, we can make sure this works because I'm not a handyman, and it's, and I cut that, and it worked. And I couldn't believe it because it's minus 15 up there on Friday night to Lanny's point. So I understand they're because we had friends that, up there that got froze up. So.
Let me tell you, we had one
Crazy.
to bust one time under our house. We had our cabin, the cabin that I sold and pissed my wife off over. And the problem was I had no idea where to turn it off. We were on community water.
We didn't well?
We didn't have a well. We were on community water. But I'd never seen the box. I had no idea where the box was to cut it off. And we finally got it cut off, and then I got it repaired. Mm-hmm. And I put a small electric baseboard type heater under our crawl space and just left it on from October to April.
Sure.
And it stayed nice and toasty warm under there because I didn't want to mess with the water all the time. If I wanted to take off and go up there and it was 10 degrees, I wanted the water to work. I wanted everything to work. I kept the heat on in the house.
Yeah.
We kept the heat about 60. And then we had gas logs that we could fire up, to knock the chill off and warm it on up. Mm-hmm. But that's the only time we had that problem. But that's when you have property that's away like that. And something happens. If you ain't got somebody to go fix it, you got to go fix it. And then there's a lot of damage by the time you get there.
So I've adopted the I, we, they philosophy.
I, we, they.
All right. I bought it. We're working on it. They're going to fix it. Seriously, that's all. To Renee's point, that's all you can do. You just got to do what you
Isn't this normally earlier than normal for these cold temperatures to hit? Before Christmas?
Normally January or early February, you got a pretty good – I'm talking about up there, okay? Because it can get cold, but I'm talking about ridiculously like Canada cold.
Yes.
Because of the way the I don't know if you call it the jet stream, but the way it can dip and come down over the mountains and pull basically everything from where you grew up down, in the Great Lakes down into, this area. So I got to tell you, Juju, there's some years, and Lanny can tell you this because he owned property up there in the cabin, but some years it can get, really cold at the beginning of November and be 20, 25 degrees warmer down here, and we not really know it.
It's a different cold.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And the reason is it's drier. It doesn't have the. Here, my humidifier's going through gallons of water because there's the air so dry right here and it's so cold. But it feels different. Mm-hmm. I could take that cold better than I could take the cold down here, and I don't know if it's because of the humidity that is down here. I don't know what it is.
Great example, Juju. Elevation up there at the high school where I taught and coached for 1 year up there, okay? When I left Maiden, I went up there. So it's about 3,900 feet, okay? It's September 30th. Now, we'd been doing football for about 2 months like everybody, no big deal. And the people said, look, they told me about 2 weeks ago, they said, look, the weather's a little different up here. So make sure you've always got not a jacket but a coat. I'm like, well, they're not calling for anything. Now, they told me this 2 weeks earlier. Said it doesn't matter. Just, I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever. September 30th, we're playing Owen. We're playing Owen. It's 48 degrees at kickoff. There's so much fog. It's so dense that my wife, I'm up in the press box at Avery, which is very high.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is sitting down. I can see her sitting on the steps, but she's about the only person I can see. There's a group of people you just can't see on the field. She's got her feet stacked like this, her boots. A pterodactyl, I swear to you, is that big, a bird, comes down out of nowhere and lands on her feet and doesn't even see her because it's so dark. He thinks she's just sitting on a limb or a log or something, right? And just standing there looking straight, just looking around. And she's like, and I'm like, holy. I told the head coach, I said, James Condrey, I said, and again, we're playing Owen, Kenny Ford, right?
Yeah.
I said, James, I can't see anything. He said, well, maybe to clear up in a couple minutes, just, don't come down. Yeah, I didn't, we were just talking, whatever. I said, no problem, I'll wait. So I started coming down about a minute before halftime because I couldn't see anything. And Owen, it was so foggy and 48 degrees. Owen, they were up like 40-0 in the first half. It's crazy. They were really good. We were not. They were punting the ball. The punter catches the ball and acts like he's kicking it. And turns out, guy runs the end around. Everybody runs to that corner. The whole team goes that way for Owen and our team.
Yeah.
Because we can't see where the ball's punted. Well, it's not punted. That dude just ran around the sideline, basically walked, touchdown. Like 30 seconds, like right at halftime or whatever. We go in at halftime. I'm furious. I can't believe he fake punted. And all this. James is like, look, it's a different world up here, I'm telling you. 20 minutes into halftime, is a little bit longer halftime. We come back out. It was crystal clear. Mm-hmm. I was like, I told you, crystal clear. What's going on? The temperature dropped 20 degrees. It was now 28 degrees. All this happened at halftime. And there were icicles as long as my finger formed on the field. And that's before they turfed it. And I was walking out there, it's like, I thought, I'm going back in that heated press box. But my point is that's how different. And unless you've lived there or experienced it, you're a denier.
Well, I spent 2 years when I was at Boone, and the most honest saying that there was up there is if you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see all 4 seasons in a day.
Yeah.
That wasn't unusual. And we would get we would usually get the first taste of snow mid-late October. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot, but you could start seeing some then. But still loved it up there. I mean, it's just, as you said, it's a different world.
It is.
How about your Pirates last night? Mike Houston.
Impressive.
Yeah.
They look good.
He's good, man.
I thought it was pretty impressive.
I coached against Mike when he was the head coach at T.C. Robertson.
Yeah.
And I was coaching at Irwin at that time. And he had some really good teams at Robertson. They made some deep playoff runs. And he was really good friends with the coach at Reynolds at that time.
Poss.
Bobby Poss.
Bobby Poss. They took a job with him.
Yeah, okay, good.
At Brevard.
Brevard College.
That's where he got his first into college.
Poss, he goes with him, goes with Coach Poss. They give it to him. A couple years later, he's with Coach Goldsmith, who was also the head coach at Franklin in that conference.
Yeah.
He's Coach Goldsmith at LR. Next thing I know, he's a head coach at LR. Now, Mike's good. He's always been a good guy. He's focused. He does a good job. He treats people right. He's very honest, but also he can say it in a way where you don't leave, the wrong way.
You don't have to be brutally honest to be honest.
But he can be. Mm-hmm. And my college roommate at East Carolina, his son, Jaden Abernathy, is one of the assistant. He started off as a trainer but worked his way kind of in the staff. So now he's an assistant down there, and he was a good high school football player at Asheville.
How old is Mike?
He's probably 50, early 50s.
He's a little older than that.
Okay, 52, 50.
I think he's mid to upper, but I'm going to check.
Yeah, he's not upper 50s.
I'm going to check, yeah.
So he would have been 40. I think he turned 40 in 2011. So
okay.
He's 50,
51, 52.
Okay.
I think so.
So, the thing about it is and this is the way, and I know that, talking heads and media people can be absolutely full of crap, but
51.
51.
Yep.
They were
Yep,
talking they were talking about, what he was probably going to be able to do at ECU, and they're in Conference USA now, right?
No, they're in
the Big Big
AA.
East, the AA, the All American.
Yeah.
Okay, they were in conference. No.
Yeah, they were for years. They were in Conference USA for years.
They're in the American Conference now.
See, I don't understand it because that's
They'll be
Which is the old AA.
Yeah, he'll be going up against Kevin Wilson next year.
it's the old Big East.
Wasn't that something? Tulsa,
Heck yeah.
they're in the same conference.
Yeah, that's just down the road.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bus ride.
But
yeah.
they win 8 games, eight or 9 games. That's not bad.
Yeah.
For
8-5. That's
8
right.
and 5.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But they, they're impressive to watch, and
They like their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to make sure I got in for that one last night. I mean, I watched games all afternoon yesterday, but that's one I didn't want to miss. Now, I did not. I woke up and saw a little bit of the Wisconsin. And,
yeah.
I ain't watching much.
Who did they play?
I didn't. I went to bed. As soon as
Wisconsin and I was watching some of it before I went to bed.
But I can't remember who it was.
How about Grayson McCall?
Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Grayson McCall, the quarterback for Coastal Carolina. He played and got hurt in the first half. And
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Boy tells me he's going to leave through the portal.
He's already been in the portal. They said he's going to go to Auburn, and then when the word came out that he couldn't get some of his classes to transfer, which tells me that I don't know how difficult it is at East Carolina. I'm not East Carolina, but at Coastal Carolina to go to transfer some of your classes. He can't get into Auburn because he doesn't have enough credits, is what stuff I read.
But here's the thing. Now, here's the thing. And this may have changed, okay, and every school's different. You had to maintain a 2.0, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you couldn't have some D's out there, but you had to maintain a 2.0. But usually anything below a C won't transfer. Now, it'll count towards your graduation where you're at, but a lot of schools won't take it. They won't take it as a transfer
He's
class.
in that age of having a major and things like that, too. So
yeah,
that
and they may not have the same kind of major or same class requirements.
I wouldn't be surprised if he stays at Coastal Carolina or goes to where his old coach is at up at Liberty with Jamie Chadwell.
I just had
goes to
mixed
Liberty.
feelings about him playing after announcing he was going in the portal.
Yeah, I guess he wanted to play for his buddies.
But why did he leave his buddies? You know what I'm saying? That's I'm not. I'm saying I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm saying it's kind of this whole thing makes me real uneasy from a program standpoint. And again, we've gone from pulling for teams.
Well, let me ask this: Would you rather him not said anything to anybody because he could have entered the portal after the bowl game, and just kept it to himself and then done it, or going ahead and being open and honest and say, look, I want to play, but I'm going to transfer after this season.
Maybe he got bad advice. Some of these kids take advice from either
100%.
agents or something.
Some of these kids don't take advice at all.
Let me tell you something
because they know everything.
Let me tell you something about that. You are 100% correct. We've had local kids that some of the things that people have been advising them and telling them that absolutely know nothing about two things, life and money, is unbelievable.
Unethical?
See,
borderline.
It's not.
Trying to be helpful, but at the same time, if you don't know, don't help. Shut up.
Yeah,
don't say nothing.
But that would be admitting that you don't know, and people struggle to be able to do that.
Well, it's because exactly. I mean, it's like, Quinn's out there working on the bumper of his truck. He's trying to replace the bumper and all this stuff. Dad, son, I don't know anything about that. I love you more than anything in the world, but Dad is not going to be able to help.
Hey, I'll
Call
give you
Coleman.
before
Coleman can do it.
Before I take a break, I'll give you a great story here from my son, who he had this. Sometimes he has these ideas that don't always pan out, and he had a Jeep when he got out of college.
Yep.
And he had to put the big wheels in the lift and all the stuff that goes with them. And then I don't know what you call it. I called it a rhino horn. He had this big black horn looking thing, off the front, push bar kind of thing. He had this brainstorm, I'm going to save me some money. I'm going to put that thing on myself. Well, by the time he bought all the tools that he needed, he had more in the tools that he had never used again than if he had just paid somebody, not counting the aggravation and busted knuckles.
That's why it costs what it costs when you call somebody to repair something. So I can do that for better myself. Yeah, but you didn't pay for the equipment. You didn't pay for the insurance. You didn't pay. I mean, it's just,
go ahead. Go do it.
Unbelievable, dude.
Yeah, go ahead. Go do it. God. All right, lots of topics for today.
We've already discussed a lot of topics.
Sam Hartman's going into portal.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Lowe's really excited about it because he's a Notre Dame guy. That's supposedly where he's going.
And that's great, and we all feel good about it. But it ain't gonna help him none. They got major problems up there.
I would not be going. Problems. That's not where I would be going because there's more problems than that. And I know. Well, all right. Hold that thought. Hold that.
You're not wrong, but that's what it's about.
Let me write this down or it'll leave.
See, you're following that's what I do. I write things down.
Yeah, but it just hit me
A
now.
play sheet?
Let me just hit that.
That looks like a play sheet.
Yeah,
like
that
Friday
does.
nights right
that's
there.
Dabo. That's Dabo over there. Dabo's doing play sheets.
No, I think of something while I'm watching TV or out somewhere, and I write it down.
Juju, when I was helping out at Maiden, I had my defensive play sheet, and I had like all these scenarios here. You can tell, you guys landing. That thing's about 8 pages. Because I can't remember all that stuff. I just have to go through it down in distance. Lenny, he's like, what is all that? I'm like, dude, you know.
I guess that's why I wasn't good because I was an off-the-hip shooter. That's what I did.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Let me take a break. Back in a moment.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
Yeah, welcome back. I got all kind of things. I'm making notes left and right. I do want to pass this on. Sad news. I've shared it with four. A lot of you guys have seen here, faithful listener and known him forever, Bill Klein. A lot of people know him by Sundrop. Bill passed away. I didn't realize that Bill had moved into an assisted living type place, and his health had declined. And according to his daughter that posted on his Facebook page, I'd forgotten his wife passed away less than 6 months ago.
She
but he was 82, if I'm not
81.
81.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I've known Mr. Klein since I was probably
as long as I've ever been involved in anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, he was an official when my dad coached at Ford with Dickie Foster and Coach Copus and all those guys, and just throughout the years. When I played American Legion baseball, he called a lot of he didn't call any of our games I remember in football as a kid, but he called a lot of our American Legion games. And, of course, he did some basketball earlier in the years. And then when I started coaching at Maiden, when I moved back to this part of the state after East Carolina, he was always really good. He would walk over to me and say, look, you got to calm down. Or, hey, you did a good job here, but you probably need to think about doing it this way. I mean, he was always very helpful and very direct, and I'm okay with that.
It was funny. I
Really
used to get tickled at him because if somebody would post on the video after we had went off, a couple hours later on in the day, he would jump on again, and then he'd always comment rerun, because he thought it was a new one had come up, and he didn't want to miss it. I mean, he was very loyal. I thought a lot.
Clock at LR for a
long time, up until this past year.
Okay, so he was still doing it then, and he also did the American Legion when I was coaching baseball there, years ago, and as the AD. He did the scoreboard, quite a bit for us then too.
Yeah, he and his son both worked at up on in the scoreboard area there at LR, up in the press box.
Let me give you some scores from yesterday. Georgia Southern fell to Buffalo. I watched that game, pretty good game, 23-21. And
not a good day for the Sun Belt.
No.
Memphis just mauled Utah State. The only thing about it is
God.
Utah State.
They did.
I think it was Utah State in the light gray with the blue numerals.
Yeah.
Those are some ugly uniforms.
Now Memphis was in the blue, right?
Yeah,
the darker blue
and silver.
Yeah.
And then ECU beat Coastal 53-29. That game was even worse than the score, I thought. And Wisconsin over Oklahoma State 24-17. The Mullet got beat. And there were high hopes coming out of Oklahoma State. Today's game.
I wonder if Grayson McCall would end up at East Carolina. Would he go there?
Is Ehlers done?
Yes.
Golly.
That's his final game.
Hey, it was always great when you got a quarterback that looks like a lineman but plays like a dual threat
6'4", 200.
Just a man.
50 pounds.
His chest was coming out of his shoulder pads.
Allers, the quarterback. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they say he's 6'4", but because he's so wide, he doesn't look 6'4". He's like 6'2", 250 pounds.
His chest comes out of his shoulder pads like the way that.
Yeah.
I was watching that last night. I was like, dude, if I'm a lineman, that's my guy.
I think that was Mike Houston's first recruit when he came on board at East Carolina, or one of his early recruits.
And I think Donnie's still down there.
He is. Yeah, Coach. Yeah,
they showed him a lot last night up in the press box.
Tell you what, man, he's got it figured out with the kids they got and the way that they. You and I talk about this a lot when you come to games on the sidelines about, hey, look at this and how they do this and what's the deficiency or what's the likely positive outcome, right? You look at the way they got those pieces set up, and they're playing chess all night long. They're not just calling plays and trying to hit the big one, right?
Right.
They're playing chess.
No, it's methodical what they're doing.
They are thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And when you go back, like I'll go back and watch the rerun just to see, even though I'm not coaching, more like doing that, right? Just to see how they do things offensively. And I will be able to see chess being played. Watch
now,
they're amazing.
Donnie's up in the press box, and in college football now you can't relay the play to the player anymore, right? You can't do that just like in the NFL. But you relay to the sidelines through an assistant coach. Yeah, signal it in. Well, Donnie they showed him up. He had about 4 or 5 different sheets of paper.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking they showed him during the play, after the play, before the play.
He's talking to him on the field.
Yeah.
He's controlling the process.
Yeah.
He's not worried about the individual play because it really, I got to tell you guys, a lot of people think the individual play matters. It really doesn't, because all that's taken care of during the week. It's about unveiling and unfolding the process and being able to adapt and adjust. You just monitor, evaluate.
I told you the hardest part for me to find when I was coaching. Now I liked working on top. Okay, when I was an assistant.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me to find was somebody that I could put on top that knew what I was looking for. I can tell you what I'm looking for, but I'm looking for. And most of the time, I would say, "Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to formation this. Tell me how they react, because I want to know how the defense moves and adjusts to this, because you can start to pick up." To me, I liked it better than just the film, because they may have made adjustments for you during the week that's not on film.
That's right.
So that if I go into this formation, they think I'm going to do this. Well, I want to make sure they're doing that, and I'm going to make an adjustment and do something different.
My whole defensive scheme was predicated on what they saw the previous 2 to 3 games.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to line up like this. We might, but we're going to actually do this instead of what you've been watching for 3 games. That's why every week in practice, I would not let any substitutions come in the first 10 to 12 plays of practice while we were so I could script things to see and get in the flow of things. Then I would start working kids in after that. Based on how we.
My stuff was always
same thing in the game. No
subs, different every week.
I thought last night's game, and I was watching it with a more rooted interest, because the staff from Coastal Carolina and East Carolina, Mike Houston, they go all the way back to 2010, 2011, when that staff was at North Greenville. They went from North Greenville to Charleston Southern to Coastal Carolina.
That's a great story.
So
that's a great story.
Mike has had experience going up against Jamie Chadwell when he was the head coach at North Greenville. We broadcast their games.
And then Houston went from LR to the Citadel.
And they went up against, and when he was at Charleston Southern.
And then Citadel, from Citadel to James Madison, won a national championship, right?
Yep.
And then to East Carolina.
And there was a lot of bad blood between those two staffs, going all the way back to his LR days in 2011, and it was
way too much history.
And it was chippy last night. I didn't realize this. East Carolina is the least penalized team in all of college football this year, until last night.
That's a Mike Houston thing.
That's a Fred Goldsmith thing.
Exactly.
They were very much disciplined when he was at LR.
We played Franklin 2 years. The 2 years I was at Irwin. To your point. And this was something I think they had 3 penalties in 2 games against us.
Wow.
People say, they got to be holding us. No. They go 8-man line of scrimmage sometimes with split backs, and they would just line up and just mash. They wouldn't try to pull.
Talking about the penalties, did you watch any of that New Mexico State and Bowling Green?
I did not.
New Mexico State used to be in the Sun Belt with Appalachian.
Yep.
They dropped out.
Yep.
Either went independent or dropped back to FCS, and now they're coming back in Conference USA.
Oh, wow.
After next year. Wow. But the point that I'm going to make is one of the fat boys for Bowling Green, never seen a player get disqualified for 2 personal fouls in the same game. One of the fat boys did. And he was it was not pretty.
There was a guy from Coastal last night, their center, I believe, or one of the guards, one of the offensive linemen. He got a couple of penalties early on in that game. For a lot of giving the team the business after giving the players the business after the play.
What was the guy's name?
The center.
No. What was the official's name that said that?
Oh,
black official. I can hear him.
Fred Swearengin, maybe. I can't remember.
I had to look at that. He was giving him the business. Yeah.
15 yards.
He was giving him
personal
the business.
foul. We're giving him the business.
Awesome.
Last night it was Buffalo over. I gave you all those scores. Tonight
New Mexico,
we got 4 more games.
Is that where Bob Davie was the coach? The guy used to be at Notre Dame, New Mexico State. Didn't he go to New Mexico or New Mexico State? Is there?
Well, New Mexico State is now Jerry Keel.
Okay.
Who's going to pop a vessel?
But Bob Davie coached. He's been out for the last couple of years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he was at New Mexico State, and they were running the triple option.
Games today, Central Florida and Duke. That's in the Military Bowl, and that's up in Annapolis. That's at 2 o'clock. Kansas and Arkansas. That's in Memphis at the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium in Memphis.
That'll be a good game.
That's 5:30. Carolina, Oregon, and Carolina at 8 o'clock. That's at the Petco Park out in San Diego.
Bo Nix is at Oregon.
Yeah, and the Tar Heels are 19-point favorites or underdogs, 18-point underdogs.
I believe that.
Probably
No
so.
team, and I read somewhere, no team from North Carolina, the state, nor the ACC has ever won a Holiday Bowl, which is what they're playing in tonight.
That's the Holiday Bowl?
The Holiday Bowl.
And they don't and nobody's traveling to San Diego from here. I mean, that's the other side of it. Texas Tech and Ole Miss. That's in the Tax Act Texas Bowl. That's at NGR Stadium in Houston. The Carolina game, that's the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. Used to be the Poinsettia Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, it was the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. And the Liberty Bowl, that's the one Kansas and Arkansas is in. That's the AutoZone.
East Carolina played that twice back in the 90s. I think 94, 95.
Mm-hmm.
It was brutal.
3 games tomorrow, Syracuse and Minnesota. That's at the Pinstripe Bowl. You've won a trip to New York in the middle of winter.
I'm telling you, yeah.
That's a great trip to make right there. Oklahoma and Florida State. That ought to be a good one.
Well,
down
look
in
at the
Camping
teams
World,
they're playing.
Orlando.
Syracuse and Minnesota.
Yeah,
so
they're okay.
Yeah,
they're
used
okay
to
with
it. Yeah.
They're playing in the one in New York.
Yeah. I did. Did you watch any? And then the final game tomorrow is Texas and Washington. Did you watch any of the? And I don't know what the bowl game was. I did not like it because of where it was at. They play one in Fenway. They set the field up and play it in Fenway.
Yeah, they do.
And I don't remember what they call it, but I didn't like it. I don't like that field set
that's
up.
the one that that's not the Pinstripe Bowl.
Is Yankee. That's the one
Played
today.
Yankee Stadium,
Yeah.
But the other one, didn't Notre Dame play there a year or two ago?
That I
one in
don't
Boston,
know.
in
I
a
don't
bowl
remember
game?
what it was.
I know. Yeah,
I just didn't like it. And if I'm not mistaken, the way they had to set the field up, pretty well had fans only on one side.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they were playing MS Deal Field.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was MS Deal Field, too, where Granite Falls used to play. You only had fans on one side because it's a baseball field.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the Fenway, the game at Fenway, they did put turf down where the dirt was and took out the mound because you could see it. And is Fenway turf in the outfield?
No.
It's grass.
No, it's all grass.
Yeah.
Okay, they do whatever they did it. They weren't playing on dirt. And I don't know what they do at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. The Green Monsters there at Fenway, so there's only one place that field can run, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like over here at Old Sigmund Field, here in Maiden that they used, 50 years ago. There's only one way that field.
If you were like press box, the end zone was down in left center. That's where it was because that was the backdrop where there were no seats over where the Green Monster was, the wall.
It's the only way it can run.
Yeah, and I didn't care for that. That's the first time I guess I've seen that. And this year, I probably watch more bowl games than I normally do. I don't normally. It's got to be somebody I really want to watch, but I've just been hungry for football this year.
Well, if the weather stays as it is and it still stays cold and people aren't outside doing things, of course they got some high school basketball going on around the area this week as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, why has Maiden basketball been off to such a good start?
Athleticism's incredible.
Okay.
And Alec, thing about it is we got a couple kids that aren't playing. Like Alec Hall's not playing, because he had that Achilles tear that he came back from, which is like unheard of.
In a year,
he's okay, but he's not playing basketball. And then a couple other kids that normally play aren't playing. which is remarkable because they're pretty deep right now. They're 8, 10, 11 deep on the bench. And a lot of these kids, started being basketball players first when they were younger and then just came into football.
Okay.
And what's happened is you can see the toughness and the grind of football being applied to the game of basketball, the way these guys play. And they know each other, and they're all really good friends. Like, Laney can tell you, he was on the sidelines. But there were no issues as far as kids not liking each other on that team.
Chemistry was great.
It is. And the kids genuinely care about each other. It doesn't matter if they've played together 2 years or 10 years, Juju. They have good chemistry, and they rely on each other.
That counts for a lot.
And they don't get upset at each other. They hold each other accountable, but it's really different. And like you said, as far as discipline goes early with Houston, that goes a long way when you're young.
Has Maiden ever won a Christmas tournament? Do you know? I remember they played in the championship game a few times way back in the 80s and 90s.
And Coach Byrne, when Fred was coaching them, and Frank Snyder.
Yeah. I can remember.
Really good teams.
I remember Frank going kind of deep. I mean, Fred did too.
And Fred did too. Yeah. Now one year, I want to say when Mike Byrne, who is Fred's youngest boy, was either junior or senior, they made a pretty deep run in the playoffs. And I think they finished second in the Eastern tournament that year, maybe to Hickory. Okay,
yeah, Hickory's owned that Christmas
they have.
tournament.
St. Stephen's was really good there for a few years. So I coached basketball 1 year. Coach, I helped at Ford when I graduated from college, and Jim Norris let me sit on the sidelines with him. Started about Christmas time and went through the tournament. And St. Stephen's was really good then too. Hickory had like Ty Hunt, some of those guys, Daniel Willis. It's when Daniel was a senior or junior. And
mid-90s.
Yeah, it was in 95, 96 school year was when all those boys at Hickory were juniors. And then St. Stephen's had a really good crop of kids that were sophomores and juniors. And Chip Bradford. He was a great player, baseball player.
Good baseball player, ended up at LR.
Oh, my God, dude. The guy was an incredible soccer player, too. And phenomenal basketball player. We're talking about guys like 6'1", 6'2", could jump out of a gym and could move his feet because he played soccer. And you apply that to baseball or in a basketball setting, the guy was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Chip
Watts
was on that team. He was the point guard. Boy, he had a terrible injury that he came back from. He had a neck compression where a car fell. Roof of a car hit him in the head and compressed his spine. He was on Halo, but he came back from that. And Chip was a 3-sport athlete. But yes, I don't know if Maiden's ever won it or not, but they've had a couple of teams that have finished, I think, second, throughout the years. But Hickory's
amazing. Those guys you're talking about in the mid-90s, they're approaching 50, right?
Yeah.
Mid-40.
They're a little bit. Yeah, they're probably about 45, 46. They're a little bit younger than I am. I was coaching them in the summer, like we had summer league baseball back then before, didn't have Legion B. So a lot of the guys like Daniel Wilson, those guys that trained for football, didn't start playing Legion until like they were senior, or whatever. I coached Daniel and Dean Powell and some of those guys in the summer on a combined all-star team. That's how I got to know those guys. I was like 21, 22 when I was out there coaching them. So a bunch of kids coaching, it's fun.
Stephen Lowe, good morning. Mike White says ECU quarterback kind of reminded him of Ford.
Michael White's a great American.
Mike White and I coached together.
It's kind of like announcing his name, Michael, son of Charlie. He's
Chad Muller said great. ECU had some huge receivers.
Yeah, one of them transfers.
And David Lilly and Richie both said, was it Ron Cherry for giving him the business?
The official?
Yeah.
No.
It was an NFL game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Ron Cherry,
so
I like Ron Cherry.
That's so funny.
Richie said Keel used to coach at Minnesota, had a seizure on sideline. He had multiple seizures and retired and came back.
He's
and
like Urban Meyer.
He's like 61. Back. I thought he was going to pop a vessel in that game. I mean, he was livid the entire game, and they won. Chad said both teams were on the same sideline at Fenway. That's what I was thinking. And Richie said that was I know why I watched it now is Louisville and Cincinnati because I wanted to watch that game.
There you go.
The Wasabi Fenway Bowl. Wasabi.
That's incredible.
Wasabi Fenway Bowl. All right, let me take a final break and come back. We'll switch to the NFL. I got a trivia question for you. Name the two coaches. Don't name them now. The two coaches who never made it through their first year as an NFL head coach. Back in a minute.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
All right, welcome back. And it was Ron Cherry. Thank you, guys. That was Maryland and NC State. I was thinking it was Ron. I don't know why I was wanting to think it was in the NFL. And Milton guessed the two coaches that got fired in their rookie season as head coaches in the NFL. Nathaniel Hackett yesterday, and I was out and about and back and forth into the car, and I heard somebody mention that, and I'm like, did Hackett get the axe? I was a little surprised by that, but he did. And the other one is Urban Meyer in his first year at Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And what a difference that makes. Look at where Trevor Lawrence is now. Jacksonville's made the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
They're close.
They're close.
And Doug Peterson has done a heck of a job there.
Yeah.
Should have been the Panthers coach, in my opinion. But that was
Bingo, baby. Bingo. Exactly.
Former Panther player.
But for right now, I will take Steve Wilks.
Yeah, I think
Wilks is a great guy.
He's got the locker room
guy.
and the team, and he's almost made chicken salad out of chicken.
And he has.
Yeah.
And now let me ask you this: we go back, and you and I talked about this before. How much worse off would the Cardinals be if he was still the head coach?
Yeah, because Kyle
Murray.
No,
Kyler Murray,
the coach.
Oh, Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, he's probably gone.
Why was he?
Because he was a college coach, and they want him to work with Kyler Murray.
But
now I think there's
NFL.
a problem there
This is
in
crazy.
Kyler Murray. I'm not so sure
there's
he's
a
on the
major
same
issue.
page.
He showed some real emotion / immaturity.
Yes.
By screaming, and there's always got to be a pecking order, or the team structure doesn't
You have
work.
to
it's like
learn.
the most valuable employee screaming at the person that owns the business.
Well, you have to earn. Okay, you have to earn the right to be an ass. Okay, you have to earn that.
Okay.
You don't just come in just because you were a big wheel and wasn't his daddy a baseball player and he could have went
Murray
baseball.
Was a number one pick.
Yeah,
the Oakland A's. Yeah,
and so you that doesn't buy you anything. You got to prove yourself when you get here.
I think you got to love the game, and I don't know if
I don't know
Kyler
that
Murray
he loves
loves
the game. No.
I think he loved
I think
the
he
idea.
loved the money.
Yeah,
He loved the money. He could make more money quicker in the NFL than he
He's
could in
a
baseball.
competitor.
Yeah.
He wants to compete, but when you compete in a job business like the NFL, you've got to prepare appropriately, for that.
I watched some of those games, and you see some of these quarterbacks, and maybe Kyler Murray falls into this category as well. They score a touchdown or they make a play or they get sacked. Immediately, the guys that they have respected their teammates. You got teammates coming over, lifting them up, helping them, high-fiving them, or doing whatever. Some of these guys, they got to get up themselves. They walk back to the dugout themselves, no teammates around. They walk off the sidelines. Nobody says anything to them. There's just not. Again, it goes back to your point about chemistry.
Very telling.
Yeah.
Before I leave college football, I do want to mention this. Did you see where Ed Reed has been named the new head coach at Bethune-Cookman?
Yeah.
You know where Bethune-Cookman is at?
It's Florida, right?
In Florida, Daytona.
I did not know
Daytona
that.
Beach, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he becomes the latest high-profile former athlete to coach in the HBCU, historical black colleges and universities. I do too.
And
I do too.
And I'll tell you what, you listen to like the top NFL 100 or whatever it is they got, and Belichick is there, and Ed Reed's at the table. They're all kind of doing a round table, and he's talking about Ed Reed. He said one of the most impressive things that he ever saw was the interception Ed Reed had against Peyton Manning when they were studying film, coming up when they were going to play Baltimore and they played Indianapolis. And and Peyton even talks about it, says that Ed Reed was such a great player and studied film so hard and prepared that he knew that a route that was coming, is him being the center fielder basically, with the two guys coming, how they would cross and they would cross and then cross again. And he knew that. So Ed acted like he was taking the inside guy, but then pirouetted, turned his shoulder, instead of opening up and going to the sideline, he baited Peyton by turning this way, but then immediately started running that way. And Peyton said, well, I'm reading his shoulders, throwing it over to this guy. He says, Ed just goes over and picks it off. And that's kind of to, the point. These are the kind of people and players that you want, coaching kids that have a fundamental understanding of preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah.
That's where the whole thing of luck comes from, right?
Now, I didn't realize this. Eddie George is a head coach at Tennessee State.
Golly, man, I like that guy.
That used to be Tennessee Tech.
No.
No,
It's
it
Tennessee
was
State.
Tennessee State.
Okay.
I'm getting mixed up.
That's okay. And I do want to switch over to NFL.
Tennessee State is where Joe Gilliam, you remember back in the 70s, that's where he played at.
He played at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, played for the
No
Steelers.
kidding. He played Tennessee State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A couple comments. Stephen Lowe said 96-97 maiden basketball team was pretty good. That's when you had the Crawford twins, Ramseur, Bud, and Jay Farley.
Yes. Now,
said he thought they got beat by Wes Caldwell and Scooter Sherrill in the West Finals.
It was Wes Caldwell.
Wes
really
Rowan.
Good, but it was Wes Rowan because it was played over at LR. And Scooter Sherrill, I was like, okay, is this guy really that good? Dude, he was shooting balls from all over that gym. He was raining thunder and lightning in that thing. It was amazing how good that guy was. And they had another kid on that team that was a pretty good complimentary guy to him that played in the post. It's about 6'2", but he looked like he was massive. He just go in there and any ball that's missed, he was getting that rebound. But,
Donna, good morning. Brandon Eicher, good morning. Brandon, that's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
Murray took football over baseball to get the larger paycheck quicker.
There you
without
go.
putting in the work over many years to get paid.
There's the key words, putting in the work.
Yeah,
and you got to do that in baseball.
Milton thinks that Kyler Murray is a bust because he's uncoachable. And I think you're seeing some of that.
And he's got a guaranteed contract now. Is he going to change?
I think some of that hurt Baker Mayfield too initially. Now he's been in it long enough that he's maybe figured out that that's not going to work. But
I like your point about he's with a good coach right now. And when he was with Cleveland, they went through coordinators and coaches.
A new coaching coordinator every year practically.
Yeah.
4 of them in 4 years the whole time he was there.
Okay, Todd wants to talk about the Waffle House. He said it's off topic. He said, but we stopped by the Waffle House in Conover last night after the basketball games at CVCC. There were high school kids in there from several different schools sitting at different tables. One table had 5 kids from a Catawba County school, not Maiden. They put a quarter on the table for a tip. Parents have got to teach kids to do better. The older lady waiting on tables was busting her rear end for them, too. That really bothered me for some reason. My kids know that's not what we do. If we have good service, we're getting a good tip. If we have bad service, you're still getting a tip because you're not making anything. You still got to earn a living. But if I got good food and good service, you're getting a really good tip.
I think the way to, I think to Todd's kind of to point something out there is what Lou Holtz said. I really think getting back to kids being more concerned about opportunities and responsibilities instead of rights and privileges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think today they're just repeating what they hear, and they don't know any better because they're just kids.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Martin's right. Kids haven't changed. It's the parenting style that's changed.
Oh, without
that's
a doubt.
correct.
Okay?
Yes.
And there's no book on parenting, and we've all have made terrible mistakes or, whatever, trying to raise kids and everything. But at the same time, teaching a young person to be grateful for the good gifts and graces that have been bestowed upon us that have not been necessarily earned by the person but have been allowed to happen by the greater good, goes a long way. And unfortunately, that narrative in today's world is, especially here in the U.S., is really, really not being not really being delivered in the right way. There's other narratives that are being delivered.
Let me give you an example, of something that bothered me when I first started coaching, I guess, because of some of the kids that I was coaching. I was coaching kids whose parents I had went to school with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And watching some of these kids, and I would tell them, I can't believe that your daddy lets you get by with that because he didn't get by with that.
No.
That didn't happen when he was a young man. And so I guess that's what bothered me. And I'm still a believer to a point that there has to be a certain amount of responsibility on the parents to make sure that the kids get it right.
Accountability. What's the word you always use? Consistency.
Yeah, I mean you got to get it right, and that's that.
That's what happens when you let everybody else raise your kids.
Well, when I was teaching, that's exactly what I was going to say. When I was teaching, there were too many parents sending those kids to school. They're yours. I ain't got time.
When they get
can't change that now though. That's more. It happens more now than ever before.
That's why I had to get
100%.
out.
But I think kids will change a little bit. You can maneuver them or massage them.
Right.
They'll based upon what they see, not what you tell them off.
That's right. That's right.
Their kids are smart. Like you said, I don't think they've changed that much.
No.
But they're smart in what they see.
They're trying to navigate.
And they're looking for people that are authentic, honest, and all
More
of that.
than you think.
Yeah, without a
because
doubt.
they're not getting a lot of
The
that.
greatest love that you will have with a young person that you work with or that is your child is the time when the light goes off in their head that you being honest with them is the greatest love that you can give
and
them.
that you really care.
Yeah.
That when you tell people the truth instead of what they want to hear, if you hold them accountable.
And they
instead of
know
just
you're
letting
sincere about it.
Then they know they truly care about you, the person, and not what you can do for them.
But you have to. They have to.
There's where the issue lies.
They have
can't
to
trust
understand.
They can't trust.
They
people
have
that
to
act like that.
understand you're not just blowing them up to blow them up. That you're doing it for love and because you're concerned about them and you care about them and want them to do better.
And explaining to them, too, to your point, listen, I'm sharing these things with you because I've not done it right.
Yeah.
I've made mistakes,
Yep.
and I'm sharing with you the failures that I've had.
Most
You understand
parents
that-
want to share with their kids so they don't do the same things they did.
Right. But we have to remember, and I always tell my boys and the kids that I coach, failure is our greatest teacher.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to try to design your life or this play script where all you do is succeed. I need to see failure so we can then improve upon
That's correct.
what we've got.
That's
To
correct.
go from Waffle House to this.
There you go.
no,
Well, but it started at the
that's
Waffle
it.
House. That's
But
where it
Todd-
started.
But
Yeah.
Todd is
Yeah.
right.
I'm telling you, yeah.
Todd is right.
Yep.
And, I mean, you can either apply shock collars,
Yeah.
you know, or, I mean, but, you know, all kidding aside,
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
That's
you know,
great.
Hey,
Milton says they're precious little snowflakes.
I'm gonna tell you something. And Laney, you done, and Jude, I mean, you coaching the greatest relationships that, and I say you guys, I'm just speaking as if, but the greatest relationships that we've likely ever had are to the players that we could be the most honest with, that work the hardest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not that we're the best players, but work the hardest.
Yep.
And that meant, I mean, my relationship with
Or the
you know,
ones that
like
come.
Steven or Brandon or these guys is incredible because we always had those honest
Well,
conversations.
you're like I am. I've still got 40 to 45-year-old men that still look at me the same way they did when they were my players.
I love those guys like I did when they
Still
were. But
do,
it's different because they're older. Relationships evolve, but it's still there. You know, there's good deposits there, and when you have that, it's all about relationships.
Yep. All right, couple of NFL comments quickly. Heineke has been replaced by Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Good or bad?
Good.
Good? You like that?
I
Yeah,
just felt
without
a
a
wave
doubt.
of greatness.
It is. Yeah, David
It's
Keever.
David Keever.
Keever's in the
Oh,
house.
God.
J.J. Watt announces this will be his final NFL season.
He's going to the Steelers.
I think so. Have a reunion at least 1 year.
Oh, they will. They'll have two sets of brothers, three of them,
No.
and then the two brothers that already play.
Yeah.
So they'll have the three
The Watt
Watts
brothers, yeah.
and then the two other boys that play. Yeah, it's great,
All right.
man.
One more. Tua.
Boys,
They're saying he's had 3 concussions.
Boys.
The NFL needs to step in and
Let me
set
tell
him
you
for the rest
Shut
of the
him
year.
down.
Booger McFarland is adamant
Yeah.
about
I
how-
love me some Booger
But
McFarland.
let me tell
now.
you this. Let me tell you this. This is the way that people provide for their families. We've got to be very careful in scrutinization while we're trying to do things that are helpful to others by not impeding their ability. That's why these people go out and play when they get hurt, because they've got to provide.
So the head coach for the Dolphins says he has not been aware, the last time he had these concussions. I would ask him, would you let your kid, if that was your kid,
Sure.
would you let him go out there and play?
But now again,
Or doesn't he talk to the quarterback, look in his eyes and say, hey, how you doing?
I don't disagree with you, but this, and this is I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just putting a different way of looking at it. This is livelihoods and jobs. Okay, and I'll give you an example. Growing up in Valdez, there were furniture and textile mills. Guys get staples in their hands. 30 years ago, they got paid $100 cash right on the spot. Guys didn't have fingers. They, even one guy was missing his arm, but yet they still went to work. Now, I'm just throwing a different perspective. Why did they keep working there? Because they had to provide for people. So I think in this criticism, not us, but I'm talking about what I'm seeing on TV, we really need to make sure we have a fundamental understanding that, yes, it is unhealthy, but they are making a choice to step out there, and it's not up to us to sit there, and
but he's still going to get paid.
He's
because of
looking
injury.
long-term.
I understand, but even if they shut him out, I mean, I'm assuming he doesn't have his big contract yet.
Right.
Okay.
This is the other thing too. People think $1 million is a lot of money, and it is.
Not the rate that they spend.
But it'll only produce about $30,000 to $40,000 of sustainable income, where the $1 million really doesn't move a whole lot in principle.
Yeah.
So we need to understand about what we talk about. Oh, he makes all this money. Listen, taxation goes into things. Depending on where they play. All this. Now, yes, he lives in Florida, and there's tax-free benefit. Obviously, that's why, Tampa. Tampa Brady's down there, right? All right, but there's a lot of things, a lot of dynamics here. I don't disagree with anybody about it's a major health concern, and would you really want this? But again, he's the one playing.
Mm-hmm. But the big, what the big the phrase is, the one that makes it easy on everybody. Sometimes you got to protect the player from themselves.
Well, but is that really our job?
I know.
I think our job is to educate instead of mandate. If he knows what the risks are, okay, up to a certain point. Now, if he's falling down every time he's taking a step, that's different.
The problem with the risk, and you'll know this, the problem with the risk is you can accept the risk, and you can sign all kind of papers so that you have
doesn't hold weight in court.
Right. And that's what worries the other people is the lawsuits.
Well, that's what worries everybody about everything, especially in education.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of these rules that the county or state has is based off of we don't want to get sued.
Yeah, to protect them.
It's not doing what's in the best interest of the person.
Yeah,
it's CYA.
Yeah. Well, that's you're going down a whole different rabbit hole.
But
I know.
Listen,
I'm not
disagreeing with you.
No, I agree. I agree 100%.
I would be that compassionate in talking to Murray if I was his coach.
I don't have any problem.
And I would treat him like he was mine. But my point is not everybody does that, and this is a multi-billion-dollar business,
I know.
Close to $1 trillion.
I don't have a problem.
And he draws a lot of revenue being one of the top two guys.
I don't have a problem with people going out there if you could just be sure that they understand the risk and they're willing to accept that risk on their own. That's what people don't want to do. So that's why, somebody's got to help them. All right, let me give you this. Rams, Cardinals, Falcons, Bears are all eliminated in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
Broncos, Texans, Colts, Browns are all eliminated from the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some openings out there. Bills have clinched. Bengals, Ravens are in. Kansas City and the Chargers are in. Eagles and Cowboys, Vikings. How about a surprising team there, the Vikings?
Well, they won 11 games by one score or less.
12-3. They know how to do it.
It's incredible.
49ers are in. The disaster is the NFC South because the Panthers could win the division.
All right, how about this?
They will win the division.
Kirk Cousins, how you said, you remember when he said, how do you like that? How do you like that? Now he says, see you, Dave. Now he says, you're a great American. Love you, brother. He says, now the saying is, how do you Vike that? That's the shirt. You need to print those out and get them on the air up there.
Okay.
How do you Vike that?
I Vike that.
Because he was screaming, how do you like that? How do you like that? When he's playing at Washington?
Yeah.
Talking about Kirk Cousins. Boys, I'm telling you, Carolina it's getting interesting with the Panthers. It's getting interesting.
Steven says Pineapple 2023 wheels are in motion.
Yes, they are.
I know.
It's going to be a fantastic trip.
Richie says I'm ready for someone to make a decision, get rid of Snyder. And Milton says Tua is too fragile. And he's probably got a point there.
Does it have something to do with him being left-handed? He's the only left-handed quarterback in the NFL.
He's thin.
Steve Young also had a lot of problems.
You know what? That's something to think about because offenses are built with the left tackle protecting the quarterback and not the right.
But they change that if you've got a right-handed left-handed quarterback.
Well, but the techniques,
you're always protecting the backside.
No, I don't disagree. But what I'm saying is the techniques are completely different. They're opposite of what they were being taught. Mm-hmm. And now your right tackle becomes your left, and then you're dynamic. And it's like baseball. The game of baseball was made for right-handed people. The advantages can be taken into consideration for being left-handed in certain areas, but there's only certain positions you can play in baseball being left-handed. Pitcher, first base, and the 3 outfield positions. Anywhere else, you could play there, but you're not efficient based on the way the game is.
Because we got turned.
Football, seems to be that way, to your point. Because my dad years ago said something about Steve Young. He said, son, like Jim Zorn, Steve Young, these guys, he's like, they're all really good athletes. And talking about Zorn, he was a good athlete. He just wasn't flashy. He was just consistent. But he's like, it's something to be said about these guys, to your point, being left-handed and then getting knocked out of a game, whether it be through concussion or injury. He's like, is the game really made for – and that was always his concern about me playing football. The game's not really made for left-handed people.
No.
And I was like, he's like, but what he was saying was actually very profound. I don't know. That's a great point. Years ago, my dad said something to me about that, worried about me playing. I was like, what are you talking about? Well, now I know. Wow. Incredible.
Some of the best left-handed quarterbacks in the NFL history.
Yeah.
Steve Young, Boomer, Michael Vick, Kenny the Snake.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mark Brunell, Jim Zorn.
Tim Tebow.
How about Frankie Albert from 46 to 52, one of the pioneers of the bootleg play? Scott Mitchell, Bobby Douglas. You remember Bobby Douglas? Played
Chicago
for the Bears. Yeah.
Number 10.
wow.
Am, T&T, Tim Tebow, and Matt Leinart. I forgot Chris Sims was left-handed.
Chris Sims. Yeah. I tell you what, man, I really thought that guy. And he I mean, obviously being in the NFL is a big deal. I mean, and the fact that, he got there and his dad and all these things. But I really thought he was a really athletic, smart type player that could just never seem to take that next step into greatness and having all that training and attribute. Now, I'm not blaming him or saying he did anything wrong. I'm just saying it was just, you really felt like a guy that size and had all that, being in the locker room as a kid, he knew how to act. Nothing threw him off guard, but he's a pretty good. He's a pretty good analyst.
He's a great analyst, but there's so many of them that the bodies just can't take it.
Right.
They just can't take it.
All right, I got a trivia question for Gigi.
Okay.
Who's the best player since you've stepped on campus at LR till now? Who's the best LR football player?
Kyle Duggar.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no.
I'd say you're probably
yeah.
right.
All right, how about before you stepped on campus?
Before I stepped on campus, somebody I didn't see?
Yes, but you know about when stats.
Scott Crawford.
Scott Crawford. That would have been mine.
Yeah.
Who's number 2?
Wow, that's it.
Before you stepped on campus.
Before I stepped on campus. I have to think about that. Somebody that's played multi-sports.
I don't have it. I'm just asking. I'm very curious because Bob Duckworth puts a lot of great stuff out about different things in Hickory and LR and Unifor and all these things, and it just got my wheels spinning a couple of days ago.
Lanny knows a guy that I played with for 1 year at LR that I thought was a really good football player, probably was a really good athlete, was Glenn Ford. Went to Tennessee.
We were twins. He was the black sheep of the family. That's why we used to tell people. He was in Shrine Bowl with me.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Loved him. We went to the Shriners Hospital. That's what we kept telling the kids. We're twins. We're twins. We're both Fords. Yeah. Love Glenn Ford. Yeah.
All right. So, another one right quick. I know we got to go, but we really don't, but we're going to go. So, in the Pittsburgh area where you grew up, all right, there's been a tremendous amount of football players, right? Who's the greatest player? All right. And then who's the most talented to ever come out of there that didn't make it big?
That didn't make it big?
That didn't make it big.
What about that made it big?
The greatest player that made it.
Oh, that's hard to.
Oh, right. But then the most talented that didn't make it.
Man.
Was Marino not from there?
Yeah, he was from there.
That would be my pick.
That was who I thought of. I saw him playing.
Where's Joe Namath from?
Beaver Falls.
Which is right down the road, right?
Yeah, he played basketball. He played all the sports too in high school. He'd be another one.
They said he was amazing.
Yeah.
And when you look at him,
probably should have went off and played baseball. He was that good a baseball player.
Right.
Could have probably played. I think he got either drafted or played with the Chicago Cubs. Marino got drafted by Kansas City.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Golly.
There's a lot, man.
No, the reason I asked that is, again, reading these things like the Steelers and, they just – when you start reading on Franco and all these things, they start naming people that were influential in his life that were local people that were great players that never made it, but yet, they were embedded into that area and just it's just relationships, right? And that's why I was asking. Like they named several people. I don't have it in front of me, but I was reading through it, and it was incredible. He talked about this one guy had like the most rushing yards in high school history or something, and then never made it through college. And they thought he was going to be like the greatest, one of the greatest players ever to come out.
And I'd throw in Tony Dorsett. He played there.
Dorsett was there. Okay.
Yeah.
And he played at Pitt too, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was he from there?
Yeah, he was from right across the river from Beaver Falls, Hopewell High School.
Yeah.
Near Aliquippa.
What's the most memorable thing that you remember about Tony Dorsett?
99-yard touchdown.
I'll tell you mine. What's yours?
99. When there's only 10 players on the field, they ran dive right or something, and he ran 99 yards in high school. In pro football.
I remember watching him and seeing him in when he was at Pitt in 75, 76.
Mine was the AP All-Americans introduced on the Bob Hope Christmas special.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was Anthony Dorsett, not Tony Dorsett, but Anthony Dorsett is how he introduced himself. I remember watching that show like it was yesterday.
The Bob Hope All-Stars and the Playboy All-American teams.
Bob Hope always did the AP.
You don't remember Playboys? The Playboy All-American team.
She's not watching.
Yes, I remember it well.
Yeah.
That and Playboy's All-Star Jazz Band. Yeah. Bob Hope always did the AP on his Christmas special. I always remember watching that. That was always good. All right, we got to go. I got to go do something. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. See you tomorrow.